Not me catching the flu. Hi, I'm Holliday, and this is Looking into Evil in Painting. Today, we will be looking at Jeepers Creepers. What is the story that inspired Jeepers Creepers to be specific? Today, we will be painting a birdhouse. This story is about Dennis Dupree. Depue? No, Dennis Depue. I think that's how you say it. Don't quote me. Dennis was born June 13th, 1943 in South Dakota to Claude and Elma Depue. It did have a family. It does give a little bit of background about Dennis, but not a lot. They mostly focus on what his crime was or what he did. But the background story is that he went to college, did the normal things usually a normal person does, and then got married and had a bunch of kids. His wife is Marilyn Depue, and he has 3 kids, Jenny, Julie, and Scott. But this story does not actually start with Dennis. It actually starts with a couple who are the Thorntons. The Thorntons are on a road trip driving down the road, and they are playing a game. The Thorntons is just a newly married couple, and they're on a road trip and they're playing a game that they made up about letters and numbers, and you have to basically make a word with the numbers and the letters that you see going down the road. The wife's name is Mary and the husband's name is Ray. Mary is at the beginning winning this game as they're driving down the road, and she finally says that she has the next word, and what happens is a 1984 Chevrolet truck passes them in a hurry because I'm assuming that to the truck the Thorntons are driving too slow for him, so he decides to go around them. Marie, I'm sorry if I said her name wrong. Her name is Marie. Marie says, geez, that guy's in a rush because of his license plate had GZ on it. So Marie ended up winning that round of the game. As time went on, as they're driving down the road, they actually end up catching up to the truck that just passed them. And they see the truck turn off on the road, and as the Thorntons are going by the truck, they see the man get out, and he has this big giant white sheet in his hands. This is the kicker. With the white sheet, it has blood stains all over it. So Marie sees blood stains all over the sheet. She tells Ray about it, and she's like, we need to report this to police. We need to hurry up and get to the next town. So they start to pick it up a little bit. And what happens is that little did they know, the person that took the white sheet out of the car noticed that a car saw that they saw him with this giant white sheet with blood stains on it. So the driver gets into his truck and starts to chase the Thorntons, which is crazy. He chases them for a while, and then eventually he turns off on a road. I'm guessing he tried to scare them into not calling or telling the police, but that didn't actually work. As soon as Mary and Ray reached a phone, they notified the police of what was actually going on and what they saw and where they could find the bloody sheets. But one thing that I forgot to mention is that after they actually saw the guy with the sheets in the field on the road that he turned down, they wanted to get a license plate. So they ended up turning back around to see if they could get the license plate on the truck that they just saw with these bloody sheets. And they see they get a full license plate, but at the time the person that was driving the truck was changing the license plate numbers. And I'm assuming he was changing the license plate number so he couldn't get caught. But no, Marie was able to write all them down, even the fake license plate number, and she was able to give it to the police. And if you don't or can't figure out who that is already, we're talking about Dennis Depue. So what happened, the prologue of what's going on there, that Dennis and his wife, Marilyn, end up getting a divorce. Marilyn ends up getting full custody of the children, and Dennis is not really happy about it, but it is what it is. And Dennis also keeps his office at the house that him and Marilyn used to share. So he would go over there basically anytime he wanted, and he would sometimes sneak into the house even after she changed the locks, because Marilyn does say that she is actually afraid of Dennis, and the reason for her getting a divorce from Dennis is because he was a big bully, and she didn't want to be bullied anymore. So she took the actions that she thought she needed to take. The children weren't really big fans of Dennis. We'll learn that later. So the day that Dennis is carrying his bloody sheet, at least about maybe an hour beforehand, he comes to pick up the children because it's his day to have them do. And he's not very happy. What happens is that I'm assuming their older daughter, Jennifer, tells Dennis that she doesn't want to go with him this weekend or at all anymore. And soon the other children chime in and say, we don't want to go either. So Dennis, after hearing and basically arguing with Jennifer, he feels as though Marilyn has basically made the children hate him and traded on him and made it seem like he's just this bad father. As time is going on, Marilyn actually hears the children outside arguing with Dennis, and she chimes in, which honestly seals her freaking fate. So Dennis is arguing with the children. Marilyn chimes in, and he pushes Marilyn down the steps and starts beating her violently on the steps as the children look. This made Jennifer run to a neighbor's house and call 911. And then as Jennifer was coming back with help, Dennis is telling the kids, oh, I'm just going to take your mother to a hospital. I'm just going to take her to a hospital. But sadly, Jennifer never ends up at the hospital. She, God, put a warning, because sadly, Marilyn doesn't end up at the hospital. What happens is Dennis ends up taking her down a quiet road, and he shoots her in the back of the head and then wraps her body up in white sheets, and he basically throws her body in a field near the quiet road, and then he takes the sheets and he tries to dump them in a shallow ditch not too far away from the road that he dumped her body. And this is where the Thorntons come in. The Thorntons actually see when Dennis is trying to get rid of the sheets and change his license plate. The thing is that once the Thorntons are able to call the police, Dennis is on the run. They were actually, thank God, on the way to the Depue house to help Marilyn, because she was being beaten by Dennis due to Jennifer calling 911. They were already en route to come and save her. They just weren't fast enough. So once they find out and get the license plate of Dennis dumping, bloody white sheets, they're like, oh shit, something serious must have happened. So Dennis goes on the run for about, I don't know, a year or so. He sends letters to the house and to family and to friends about how justifying the murder of his ex-wife, basically. And it has Bible verses, and he's just rambling in these letters to make it say that basically what he did was right. I actually have a quote from one of his letters, and I'll actually read it really fast. So it says, quote, Marilyn had many, many opportunities to treat me fairly during this divorce, and she chose to string it out, trick me, lie to me, and when you lose your wife, children, and home, there's not much left. I was too old to start over. So that's him justifying that he was right to kill his wife and to basically do it in front of the kids. And so it's so upsetting because he actually gets away with it for like some time, you know? And It's not funny because one of his last letters that he sent out was like a 13-page memoir, not memoir, but a 13-page letter about how he's just, trying to move on with his life and what happened has happened and nothing else can change anything, and starts his life over. He ends up getting a girlfriend named Mary, and one day Mary comes home and is shocked that her boyfriend Hank, because, oh, did I not tell you, Dennis ends up changing his name and his identity. His new name is now Hank, but we all know him as Dennis. Hank, well, Dennis surprises his new girlfriend at her house, saying that, hey, my parents are very ill and I have to get back home. So, can you make me some sandwiches for the road? So, she makes some sandwiches for the road. She helps him pack his clothes. And then Dennis hugs Mary one last time. And then that's the last day Mary saw Dennis, who is really, in her eyes, Hank. But what Dennis was really trying to do is that he was trying to keep Mary busy so she wouldn't see the new TV show that aired. And you know what the new TV show that aired was? It was Unsolved Mysteries. And the Unsolved Mystery was about Dennis killing his wife and them trying to find him. And when it aired, it was such a big thing because Mary's friend ends up calling the hotline to report Dennis, and Mary actually helps and tells the police where she thinks they can find him. And the place they tell him is that he's somewhere in Louisiana. And what happens is Louisiana state troopers actually end up finding Dennis. Isn't that crazy? They actually end up finding Dennis and it becomes a high-speed 15-mile chase. Are you freaking kidding me? A high-speed 15-mile chase, and y'all, the sheriff or the head, the captain or whoever gives the call that they can shoot out the tires. Yeah, shoot out the tires so he can basically surrender. They shoot out the tires, but Dennis ends up still being able to drive in the car only for a mile and a half later. And the car finally stops. He starts shooting at police. They have a standoff. Once police start to get closer to the car, he ends up shooting himself in the head and taking, I'm sorry, the easy way out of not getting judged for the murder of his ex-wife. Like, oh my God, bro, you just did all this damage to like the family, the kids. But there is some, I guess, what can I say? Something that makes you feel, all right, that's okay. He ends up being buried really, really far away from his ex-wife. They are not buried in the same cemetery. They're not nowhere even close to each other. And I think that's, I guess, something that you can look positive on. But, I did talk about Jeepers Creepers in the beginning. And what inspired Jeepers Creepers is, remember the part where Dennis was throwing away the sheets, the bloody sheets? So, if you've never seen, in the movie Jeepers Creepers, in the beginning, there's a couple going down the road and they see this truck dumping what seems to be a body in a sewer ditch. And the Jeepers Creepers, he sees and noticed the couple that notice him, and he ends up driving after them, ramming their car. What did Dennis do? He actually drove after them, but he ended up driving around them because they were driving too slow. Dennis ends up doing the same thing, but Dennis was dumping sheets, not the body. But in the movie Jeepers Creepers, he's dumping a body. And it's crazy because what happens is that they go on this crazy run from Jeepers Creepers to get away, but it just doesn't seem to happen. Unfortunate. So this is where Jeepers Creepers ends up getting their inspiration, is by Dennis and the way that he disposed of evidence and his wife's body for the movie. Isn't that kind of cool? Like, oh, it's actually pretty, like, amazing. It's crazy that some movies get their inspiration from murders that have happened to individuals. I guess it's good for the big screen because I'm not gonna lie, I loved all the Jeepers Creepers movies. So, you know what? I'll be right back, and when I get back, this will be finished. And I'm back. This is our birdhouse that we painted. I think it looks so cute. I like the teal, and then I added black polka dots because you know my favorite color is black. Gotta add some black, so you know. But that is our story for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys later. Hopefully next week. Bye. Ever since the day that you went away.